on, fam?
What's going on?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jdun Trades with Team Bull Trading.
I'm Danny's Trades with Traders Evolve.
And we are here for the Team Bull podcast. In this episode, we have so much value for you. We're gonna go over his story, a little bit of mine, both of our trading journeys, how he has overcame so much, and a whole lot of other stuff for you to learn from and hopefully make some money from. Let's get right to it. All right, my friends, we are back in the studio and ready for yet another valuable episode of the Team Bull podcast, where we bring on the best traders, the best entrepreneurs, and the best, most valuable people for you to learn from and make money with. Now, as you met a few moments ago, we have our boy Danny Trades with us today. And let me tell you, from the 6-7 months I've known Danny and even the few hours we spent before this, he has an incredible story. He has a few years of experience trading options, and in the last year and a half, he has been a futures trader. I have seen this man personally make almost $50,000 in a day. I've seen him with a ton of spectacular results, and overall, there is so much to learn from him. His story is unlike many that I've heard in this podcast. It's super inspiring, it's super helpful, and overall, I think that us as traders, you are going to get a ton of value from this, learn a lot, and overall, you're going to be a better trader after this full episode. So with all that said, make sure you guys subscribe below. Got a lot of good free content coming your way, bringing the best game to you every single day. That's the Team Bull way. Danny, thank you for joining the show. How you doing today?
What's going on, guys? My name is Danny's Trades. I really appreciate you for having me on here, Jdun. I also want to give thanks to God for allowing me to be here right now and share my story with you and everyone that is watching. I appreciate it, Jdun.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming, bro. We've known each other now for what, like 6-7 months?
6-7 months now, man.
And it's crazy because, the second I saw your videos online, like, you do your thing where you record your P&L, you record yourself trading. I was like, dang, like this guy's legit.
Yep.
This guy's legit. And so like from the second I saw your content, like I had the podcast in the back of my head. I was like, for one, I want to meet this guy. For two, I want to get him on the show one day. And for three, like I want to learn from him. Like I see traders that are doing well with you. Like one of your first videos I saw was you making like 10 or 12K. It was 5 figures. Yeah. I was like, okay, like this guy's transparent. He's legit. I saw you posting some losses on your page too. And I'm so happy to have you here and to hear your story.
Yeah, man. It all started, man, when I was younger, man. I've been trading futures now for a year and a half now. Before that, I traded options. I started struggling towards the end with options a little bit, and that's why I turned into a futures trader. Also because, we all know futures is a lot easier, right? So it brings in more consistency, at least for me. Everyone has their own personal preferences, but I really prefer trading futures over options.
Yeah, and so we're going to get into all that. Like, I want to hear how your first options journey started, why you transitioned to futures. If you know trading, you know that with futures, there's much less variables than all the Greeks and options,
Correct.
Which can really get you if you're a beginner. So I want to kick it back to the start. I want to get into your trading strategy later, your biggest wins, your biggest losses. I think from what we talked about earlier, we have a ton of value we're going to give people throughout and especially at the end. But to start this off, where did Danny come from? How do you get your work ethic? How do you start out? And what led you into the world of trading?
Man, well, I'm from California. So I'm from California. I live in Temecula, California. It's close to San Diego, right? But, ever since I was a kid, man, I've always had that grind in me, right? Wanting to be something, right? And I always felt like people looked down on me at one point in my life, right? Whether it was teachers or family members or just people, close people around me, right? I felt like they always thought I wasn't going to be anything in life because I was different from everyone else when it came to life obstacles and the way I dealt with certain things in life, right? So when I was about 13 years old, I actually moved out of my parents' house. I moved in with my grandparents because we had many differences, right? My dad is old school, so he raised me in the form of, we got to do everything ourselves, right? And I didn't like that, so I wanted to become independent and do everything myself because if that's what he wanted me to do, then that's what I was going to do, right? I really felt like a lot of people didn't believe in the old Danny, right? But I didn't need anyone to believe in me because if they weren't going to believe in me, then I was going to believe in myself and I was going to get that going on, So I moved into my grandparents' house. My grandpa was a pastor, right? So I got, raised with these Christian morals, trying to please everything that they had for me going on. So for me, it was never about, I never wanted to live the lifestyle that they had for me. I wanted to live my own lifestyle. And that's why I struggled a lot as a kid because, you go to school, the people want you to have good grades in school. They want you to be productive. And I was never that kid, man. I never had that passion in me to, go to school and, study up homework and do homework. I always did homework last minute. And I think a lot of us that are in school right now, wanted to become entrepreneurs or traders, right? We have that same struggle, right? We don't want to work for somebody else, right? We don't want to work for somebody else. I mean, my family owns a family business, which is a Mraz Insurance. They own an insurance broker for Medicare, and as I was growing up, past my age, my dad always wanted me to be an insurance agent, to continue that legacy, to continue that business, right? And I think a lot of us people, we're stuck in what our parents want us to do or what our family members want us to do and we let go of our dreams to follow their dreams, right?
Yeah.
And so my dad wanted me to be an insurance agent, but like I said, my whole life it was tough. When I was 15 years old, man, I got sent out to Mexico in Ensenada. My parents put me in a camp, right? It was almost like prison, man. I was locked in there for 3 months. They sent me 3 months, no phone, no nothing, and I took it hard, man. I took it, and I was holding a grudge for a long time because for me, during those stages, man, I just felt like I was misunderstood. I didn't feel like I was a rebel. I didn't feel like I was a bad kid. I just felt like I was someone who was misunderstood trying to get out there. I didn't really feel like I was a bad kid. Like everyone would say, and all the kids' parents would tell their kids not to hang out with me. I just feel like I was misunderstood. And I got sent into this camp all the way in Mexico, 3 months, no phone, no communication, no nothing, right? With a lot of people who were addicted to drugs. I was the youngest kid there. All these guys were coke fiends, meth fiends, and just hardcore drugs, right? Gang members, and I saw a lot of violence. And I knew that's not the path I ever wanted to take. I mean, I never did drugs, right? So I didn't want to take that path either way. I think, like I said, right, I was misunderstood. And people thought I wanted to be this guy that was going on this path, but I wasn't that kid. I wanted to be a kid with a future, something big, something much bigger than me, right? And I knew I always had a plan inside of me, right? So I come in here and, as I get older, I get out in those 3 months and I go back into private school, a Christian school, Rancho Christian. I ended up going there for the rest of my school year. And I barely graduated high school, man. My parents basically paid the teachers for me to get good grades and graduated. I graduated with D's and F's.
And wish my mom would have done that.
Yeah, right. Graduated with D's and F's because they wouldn't let me back in any school. I got kicked out of every single school. Public school, no one allowed me into school. I didn't even graduate 8th grade. They didn't let me, They didn't let me.
It's honestly crazy. Like even just from us having lunch together, like how much we have in common. Like I have said before, I dropped out of high school. Went to 2 years of college, dropped out of that as well. And even on the fact of just being misunderstood, right? Like I, in high school, got caught with a little weed back when I used to smoke. And being at Lincoln East, all these parents were like, this kid's the devil. Watch out for him. Like he's a bad kid. And I was just misunderstood. Like, I grew up, fatherless, angry, we all have our sad story. But, the reality is I think that, and we're going to get to this part in your story, I feel like, that past like aggression inside and like that want to prove everyone wrong, like we had that in common. We have that in common big time. And I feel like that's been something that has propelled both of us to have huge results in trading. And not just that, but like in our lives.
Yeah, of course. Growing up, like I said, I didn't want to have a victim mentality, but every time I had a success, I wanted to flex that success, whether it was to my family or friends. Like, look at me, like I'm getting up there, I'm being something in life that you thought that I couldn't be. So a lot of people think that I'm a prideful guy because I like to, I wouldn't say rub in my success or my accomplishments, but I do like to talk about my accomplishments a lot because for me, it's something that I've accomplished that people thought that I wasn't going to accomplish, right? And maybe it's not like that. I know family pushes you to be greater and they just want you to do something in life. And I know the old generation really believes in hard work and labor, right? But we're in a new generation, right? Internet money now. It's very different than it was back in the 1900s where you had to work hard for your money, construction, whatever you had to do. So it's very different now.
You weren't opening a Robinhood account with $3,000 back in the 1900s.
No, you weren't.
That wasn't a thing.
Today is very different. You have trading, you have e-commerce, you have many ways to make money online than just making money by working hard and getting paid by the hour when you have someone on your head telling you that if you're not on time, you're going to be fired. And that's where I came in, right? I started working when I graduated high school. I started working for my parents as an insurance agent. I was building up to be an insurance agent. I was working in customer service, only making $15 an hour, but I wanted to make my parents proud because although, you know, I wasn't the best kid to them or to anybody, I wanted to make my parents proud because I wanted to prove that I was something, right? And I wasn't nothing, right? So I always followed everyone's path rather than following my mind and my heart, what my heart wanted to do. So I would follow what everyone wanted for me. That's what I would do, whether it was going to church, whether it was going to work, right? Even if I didn't work with them, they still wanted me to have another job, whether it was working at Amazon. Because I ended up applying at Amazon when I quit my dad working as a customer service for my dad. I ended up working at Amazon for a while too. A lot of people don't know that. I ended up doing DoorDash too and Instacart too, right? I ended up doing a lot of things and it was a struggle, man, because a lot of times I didn't, you know, I was hungry, bro. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to tell my family that, you know, I was, you know, hungry. I was living with my grandparents. My grandparents aren't as fortunate as a lot of people. But I didn't want to rely on my parents because I knew that they would see me potentially as a failure to them, even if that wasn't the case, because I know that wasn't the case, but I didn't want them to see me as a failure, you know, when I was just grinding hours and hours and hours and hours on DoorDash or Instacart or whatever it was. You know, I wanted to be something to them. I wanted to prove them wrong.
So, love that. So you're out here grinding, working all these jobs, you know, applying to Amazon, DoorDash, you know, insurance agent, which clearly, you know, you wanted to be more. I want to ask you, how did this fuel into your hunger to trade? And when did trading as potentially being your exit out of that life, you know, come into play?
Well, I always look for ways to make money. Like I was never satisfied whether I was doing DoorDash, Instacart, working at Amazon. I only worked at Amazon for a week. I quit the third day of the welcome thing orientation that they have where they make you watch a bunch of videos.
Like, bro,
I
this
said,
sucks.
This is not for me, man. They put me on a little crate thingy to put boxes. And I was like, who spends their whole life actually, you know, because I'm not going to say 9 through 5s, they aren't bad. They get you started somewhere, right? They fuel you. They give you that energy. They give you that hunger to be something, right? Because for me, it was realizing that I'm worth way more than what this job has to be and not being complacent with what I am right now. So ever since I was working those kind of jobs, I was always looking to be something great, whether it was researching in e-commerce or researching and trading. I was always looking to do something much more and bigger than me. I had a bigger vision, right? And then I ran into Instagram. I didn't used to have Instagram, but I ran into Instagram. I started using Instagram and I started seeing this guy. He was posting $30,000 gains. I showed you in the lunch, same guy, right? He was posting and boasting about how he was making 5,000, 6,000, 30,000 and his losses. He had losses, but that doesn't go through our head, you know. It's all about the money.
We see 30,000 in a day, and we're like, shit. How can I do that?
Yeah, I mean that's a regular salary for someone that's working 9 through 5. You're only making $30,000 a year. You know, like you see $30,000 in a day, and you're like, I want to do that too. How can I learn this and become successful just like this person? I want to trade just like this person. So as I started seeing these videos and I started getting more hungry for trading, right? I had beef with this person in high school. I didn't want to hit him up, but you know, I kind of just got to let go of that. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to hit this person up and ask him how he did it. So he had opened up a Discord. He had all this stuff going on. So I joined his Discord because I wanted to learn. I took his course and that's where my trading journey started, right? I was still working as an insurance agent, becoming an insurance agent. I was doing customer service, but I was working on becoming an insurance agent, right? And I ran into that hesitation of telling my dad I'm going to quit to become and do this full-time trading stuff, right?
Like you really wanted to do it, but you're like, I don't want to let down my dad. I don't want to, like, what if trading doesn't work out? Like, what was going through your head there?
You run through a lot of doubts, man. I didn't want to disappoint the people that believed in me, right? Because I was about to, you know, being an insurance agent, you make money, but not as much money as you can make in trading or the internet. So a lot of thoughts ran to my head. What if I lose it all, right? What if I don't make any money? What if I end up falling? Like, what's my rebound? My rebound is coming back with my parents and telling them, hey, it didn't work out. I need to go back to work with you guys. And then being like, see, he can't do it without us. And it always hit that point in my life. It's like, am I going to take this next step to try to do something else rather than what my family has planned for me, right? Am I going to take this risk and risk, almost basically for me, it was looking like a failure. And I think a lot of us struggle with that, right? We don't want to be a failure. We just want to help out our family, right? I wanted to help out my grandparents. They're not as fortunate, but I didn't want to be a failure in life. So one day I'm driving down the Temecula Parkway, man, and I'm just hesitating, like, I'm just gonna tell my dad, I'm gonna start trading, I'm gonna have to quit that job, and do something much better.
And you still remember the street name from that day that you called him?
I do. I was on the phone with him, and I was so scared to call him because I didn't want him to be disappointed. I didn't want him to be disappointed in my actions and taking a next step to become independent and not depending on my family. Like, man, a lot of people that know me, they think the way that I got my money was through my dad or my mom. And although they raised me and they gave me that motivation, they gave me everything that I have, they never gave me I don't have a single dollar from them. You know what I mean? They supported me through my journey. I will say that. That day I called my dad and I told him, hey, I'm going to do training. He was supportive, right? He was supportive. He sounded supportive. I knew he was upset, like, dang, he's really going to take a next step.
He's probably, we'll see.
Yeah.
Good luck, Danny.
We'll see. We'll see. But he was supportive. He sounded supportive on the phone. And I think that's where we all fall onto that path, right? We all feel like we're not going to have that support from anybody. But you don't need that support from anybody. All you got to do is believe in yourself. I believed in me. I didn't care what anybody else had to say of me. It was just about me.
And everyone's got opinions when it comes to trading.
Exactly.
Like everyone, especially that doesn't do it, it's a scam. Better be careful. No one makes money doing that. Like all those different things, I'm sure, were things people thought or said to you. And what I'm really curious, and I always like asking people, is like, how did it feel that day that you told him that? You're like, this is for real. Like, I'm not gonna be an insurance broker anymore. I'm going balls to the walls of this trading. Like how do you feel? Like what made you know you were ready for that?
I felt ready because I think it was more of I wanted to be something by me taking a step forward, right? Risking something of myself, right? Which was taking that next step to the next level. It was all about what I wanted to do, right? Follow my dreams, right? And I wanted to be independent. So, I didn't want to be an insurance agent no more. I wanted to do stuff for me, right? I want to travel the world. You think about, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, but I wanted to do all these stuff. And for my future family or whoever was going to be a part of my future, I wanted to grind for them, and I knew there was a much bigger purpose than what just my parents have for me. I knew God had something much more to impact a lot lives rather than just being an insurance agent. Although it's a good business and you can make a lot of money, I know there was such more an impact I would make in other people doing this. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what it all led up to, right? So that's pretty nice.
And that's awesome. Like you saw the potential. You saw, like, what, I need to take this leap of faith, which I think is what holds a lot of people back. Like I remember when I was first starting, like it was scary as hell thinking like, this, like I want this to be my full-time income. Like I want to make it trading. I want to make 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 plus a year trading. Like, and I'm going to do it no matter what. The world doubts me. My old teachers doubt me. My old classmates doubt me. Hell, my parents have always been very loving, but like they probably even have their doubts deep in their head,
Exactly, yep.
So I love hearing that you took that leap and you just went.
And I think that's where we all fall in that. I think that's why a lot of people quit trading. They fall into that gambling mentality, right? From seeing all these huge gains and then wanting to make these huge gains. So, I mean, we all fall into that concept that trading is just gambling, right? Trading is a scam. That's where people that don't trade, they get this concept, or people that have traded because they came in trading with the concept that they were going to make $100,000, $200,000 in a day, and it didn't happen. So what they ended up doing is they ended up saying, you know what, everyone that does trade is a scammer. They don't trade for real. They don't make money because it didn't work out for them because they were so hooked on what everyone else was doing instead of following their own journey, right? Trading isn't about only making $55,000 a day. You can make $100 every day and you can still be successful in trading. You don't have to make $50,000 a month, right? You don't have to make $40,000 a month. It's all about your journey and your path and your mindset, right? And what kind of mindset you have.
The dreaded C word is what I always say, comparison. Like people can't come on and compare themselves to Danny. They can't compare themselves to Jdun. Like, we've been doing this for years. When you see, Danny with a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 day, a lot went into that behind that $40,000 day. a lot of losses, a lot of frustration, a lot of, maybe broken monitors, like, a lot of different things have went into that. Same with myself, like when I had my biggest ever, $89,000, people like, I got a lot of messages like, you're so lucky, wow. Like, is it that easy? Like no, like I went through years of failure, of being pissed off, of, hundreds of courses, just different things to get there. And like, I'm sure you get that a lot too. Like, oh wow, like, is this easy? Like, must be nice. Like, must have been nice going through that struggle.
And you posted that on your story today. I saw it, right? It's like people see your profits. They see how good you're doing now in life, but they didn't see, like you posted on your story today, they didn't see what happened behind the screens when nobody was watching. They didn't see the struggles. They didn't see your losses. They didn't see those nights where you couldn't sleep because you were so focused on a swing trade that you were in. Because that happened to me plenty of times, man, where I was in a swing trade and I couldn't sleep the whole night. I watched the whole pre-market play out until the next morning.
Checking the clock.
So focused on that swing trade, man, until the next morning, And
it's crazy, like, from what we talked about so far before this episode, like, we both spent a lot of years, I guess you could say, like, kind of like an isolation of just grinding and focusing. And I texted one of my good buddies yesterday morning, and I was like, you've known me forever, been my best friend through a lot. What was I like learning how to trade and building Team Bull for those years? And he responded, this is hilarious. He's like, you were in the house constantly, never went out. I called you a hermit crab for probably 2 years straight. You were always grinding on the computer when I came over to try and get you out of the house. You always told me this will be better for your future. And now look at you on top of it all, crushing it. And like, I sat back for a second and I was like, damn, like, like people don't see that. People didn't see it with Danny. Like when you were grinding, when you were learning every day, when you were taking those beginning losses, when you were focusing, like, they see you with the big days now, like you're incredible, but they didn't see that before, which, I think is something I relate with a lot on, a lot of traders that I meet that have succeeded.
Yeah, I know. And the struggles are common. It's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, I've never met a trader that has 100% win rate in a year, because trading is not linear. But I will say that when I had called my dad, I go back to calling my dad that one day, and telling him that I'm done, that I'm going to focus on this. So I ended up putting a couple thousand, not like 5,000. I ended up putting around like $1,500 to $2,000. I don't remember the exact number into my trading account to start. And I took my first options trade without knowing I watched the course and I took my first options trade and I thought I was up $300 because it said $300, but I didn't know anything about the bid and the ask, like the spreads. Oh, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had to have liquidity to get filled into an order. I didn't know there had to be a buyer for a seller or a seller for a buyer. So when I was trying to sell it, it never got sold. It expired worthless.
Oh no! I bet you were just like,
I lost $300.
You were sitting there like, damn, like I'm good at this. Like I'm gonna be a pro here at Russo. And then you're trying to sell. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
this won't go.
And I think like I see $300 now, and it's not a lot, but back then $300, man, was my world.
A ton.
That's my car payment back then. So I can't pay my car anymore. And I thought I made $300. I lost $300, and my eyes were wide, man. Like, oh my gosh, man, I've entered a different kind of world, this could either go good or this could go bad, man. I just have to learn, and I remember that whole week I was working off my office. I had my office in my grandparents' house, and in that room I had a carpet and then I had a futon. I put a futon because I knew I was going to spend most of my time 24/7 locked in learning how to trade. So, I mean, I just kept studying, but I know that whole night I had tears in my eyes and I didn't sleep in the futon. I slept on the floor, man. Like this, man, and I was having nightmares. I was shaking at night. I promise you, man.
That's
God
crazy.
is my witness. I promise you, man. I was shaking at night. Over $300. Over $300, man. Now I lose like $3,000, and it's like, oh, I'm still doing good overall in the month. But back then, $300 was a lot for me, and it made me want to quit. And I know that with the passion that me and you have, I know we keep pushing forward, but that's where a lot of traders give up on that first loss, even if it's not a big loss, it's a big loss for them. It's a big loss for me.
It hurts the ego when you first start.
Exactly.
I mean, like you feel like you're going to fail. You're like, I'm sure the 300 to you, as it was for me, it was a ton of money back then.
A lot.
But like, even more than that, you're like, damn, it casts that doubt. Like I might not make it. Like that shit hurts.
You feel like you're not going to be enough. What started going through my head is like, dang, man, I just lost $300. I know my parents are not going to think any good of this. My grandparents are not going to think any good of this. No one is going to believe in me, and I felt like a complete failure, man. I couldn't do anything right in life, whether it was in school, whether it was in church, whether it was making my parents proud. I just felt like I wasn't enough, man. I couldn't make it, but, that drive, that gave me fuel, right? It gave me fuel to keep pushing, right? So I didn't give up. I kept pushing through those hard times, man. Hard times on a little. People think you need 7 monitors, bro. I had a, MSI laptop and I had a monitor. That's it, bro. That's all I had. And people think you need these 7 monitors to be successful. And I became successful with just a laptop and 1 monitor. That's it. I didn't need 1,000 screens,
And speaking on that path to success, I want to rewind a little bit. You start your first trading account, like you're going, train's moving. Can you tell us about, how you first started trading options? You traded options for a while and you made a lot of money doing it. We have some crazy stories I want to throw in too. Some massive wins, some massive losses, and some super good lessons that I think everyone watching this, if you've ever heard of a stock or traded, you're going to relate to and learn from. Can you tell us about starting out, like what your process was like, maybe a few of your first wins, your learning process, how it felt? Just, give us an insight to what Danny was like starting out trading options and when you first tasted success after obviously some losses.
Yeah, man. So, it all started like around COVID times, that's when I got into like the option stuff, and I started getting interested into options trading. I didn't know anything about futures. I've never even heard the futures trading brought up. This was all options. That's all I did at that time, right? So, like I said, I bought that course. I bought into the Discord, and I started learning how to options trade, right? And I was always asking questions about the Greeks. I think the hardest part that confused me was like the theta, time decay, which is the theta,
delta, gamma,
all that stuff. I was like, how can you even make so much money off this? Like, how do contracts move? Like, how is this even possible? I don't understand it, So every day I remember we had a family party at my parents' house that day, and that whole day I was looking at my phone, Thinkorswim. They have an app, the blue, then they have the black over here, and then blue and then black. So puts and calls on each side, right? So I was trying to understand how the spreads work and how you make money with the delta. You have to look at the delta, and every dollar that it moves up, that's how much the contract will change.
Yep.
Something like that, right? That's what I learned about options, and I kept learning about options for probably maybe about 2 weeks to a month. I started learning about Greeks, and I just focused on Greeks. Like my whole time learning options, I was just focused on learning. I didn't take no steps back. I didn't take a day off. Nothing, man. I was locked into the screen, right? All the time. I had a whole passion to learn this and go all in. It was my all or nothing, man. I was going to die doing this. That's kind of the mindset that I had,
And this, I want to throw this in too, because it's a really critical part of your story, is that you have around 3+ years of trading experience since right around COVID or a little before that, that start of 2020. But with your experience, you've been locked in. Your screen time has been insane, hours and hours a day. And I think that's something that a lot of new traders get mixed up is oh, well, you've only been trading for 2 or 3 years, which is a long time, by the way. How are you so good? Well, you probably have what most people get in 5 or 6 years of experience in 3 years because you were so damn locked in. And that makes the world of difference. So I just want to throw that in that yes, 3 years of actual experience, but you were grinding 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day every single day, and that makes the world of difference.
Exactly, and people don't want to put in that work. A lot of people don't want to put in that work, man. They start watching Netflix, they start playing their PS5. I don't even play video games. I'm not saying it's bad to play video games, but I don't watch movies. I don't play video games. I don't watch TV. I don't do none of that, man. I spend my free time trading, studying the charts. If I have a loss, the next day I'm on the charts. Just learning how to trade, what I did wrong, what I could do better, right? That's all I do, man, is I'm locked into my screen, man. It feels like I have 20 years of experience, man. It feels like I've never stepped out of my charts to go do something else because I'm always so hooked on the charts, man. No matter how many losses, that 100K loss I took on Netflix at one point, I didn't care, man. I kept going, man. I wasn't going to quit,
Hold on, let's rewind. Yeah. Just casually talking, lost 100K on Netflix. What happened there? And not only what happened, how did that influence how you kept trading after that? Because, bro, 100K, that's a big number. That's a lot of money. Now, obviously, you were making great money up to that. You had that cushion, but, bro, what the hell happened?
Man, there was a point of my trading time where I was consistent. I remember I had a whole month where I was green the whole month except one day. Bro, I even recorded myself on my iPad one time when I took like a 10K loss and I was on my iPad, bro. And I said, future Danny that's watching this, and I might still have it at home and I could send it to you and maybe you can put it on here or something. But I told myself, future Danny, you're watching this. This is not the end. It's not over yet. You know, you got to keep going, man. When that IRNT pump happened, man, I was playing earnings, man. That gambling mindset, man.
That's something that you struggled with in the past.
Oh, a lot.
That you've gotten past now, which I think a little later in the episode, I want to go over your gambling mindset past and how you overcame it, because I think it's a big problem for a lot of people. Traders and up-and-coming traders will deal with it. But yeah, continue with that.
Man, full ports, plain earnings. Every time there was an earning, bro, even if it wasn't a significant earning, whether it was a small company that had earnings, you just had to get in the earnings, man. And it happened because I had that whole consistent month, and I knew that I could make way more money than I actually made that month. I was like, damn, if I risk a little more money and if I hold a little longer, I can hit 100% return on this trade, you know? And that's when you stop following your plan. That's when everything goes south, man, because you're just thinking about that profit. You're just thinking about hitting that 100% return. You're not really focused on what's going on with your charts, what's going on with your strategy, what's going on with your plan. You're so focused on how much money you're going to make. And I got caught up in that concept for such a long time of my journey. I got caught up with that concept of I could make this much. I would grab the contracts and I would calculate them. You know how you can calculate contracts on Thinkorswim? I would say, damn, if I invest this much and it drops to this, I will make this much. You know, so that's what hooked me right there. It's like a drug. We were talking about this earlier. It's like a drug, man. You see like how much money you could potentially make if it hits. And it doesn't even have to move that much, because options, you get a small move, bro, you're already up 30%. You know?
It's crazy.
So, I mean, it was falling. I knew I could make that much money. December 2021. Pull up the charts, man. We had DocuSign had earnings, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, was the DocuSign earnings before or after Netflix? Do you remember?
It was...
You lost 100K on Netflix.
No, it was after Netflix.
It was after.
It was after Netflix, man. Because Netflix trade was October 2021.
Okay,
you will see it on the charts on there.
So you took a big hit there.
Yeah.
DocuSign, you go a little lighter on. I'll let you tell the story, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Disclaimer, this is fucking nuts.
But this is crazy, man. This is crazy because that 100K I lost on Netflix, the money I made after was absolutely insane, man. It was ridiculous, you know, because I got hooked, man. I started having way more luck and potential in the options trading world, right? So I take a huge hit on Netflix, but so December 2021, if you pull up the charts on TradingView or any charting platform, you will see DocuSign took a big hit, right? So before DocuSign took that big hit, man, I was in puts, $900 only. I put in $900 into that trade. I just looked for any stock that had earnings that day, man, and I try to I think a lot of us do this, right? We try to make an excuse of why we go in a trade.
I've been there before, years ago. I stopped it for
you try to justify yourself, right? You try to justify yourself. You try to say, I'm in the shorts because we're in supply, man. I'm in the longs because we're in demand. So I was making that excuse, I'm going into shorts, and why I look for supplies. And I said, yeah, we're in supply. I'm going, this is definitely going to hit. You see that drop on DocuSign. Next day I wake up, 42,000. I can show you the picture right now.
42,000.
I can show you the picture right now.
You turned $900 into 42,000, dude.
Yep. In one day. Overnight swing. Bro, that next night you wake up, man, and you have like this crazy stuff rushing through your head, man. That dopamine.
The dopamine, man.
Yeah. You have it rushing through your head, man. So it's going crazy, and I cut off my girlfriend. I cut off all my family members, bro. I cut off everyone, bro. I wasn't going to tell nobody nothing, man. It's a secret, bro. Because I knew I found my edge, what I thought was going to be my edge.
No, you thought real quick.
I thought that was going to be my edge because I already learned. I know how to scalp. I already knew how to scalp, right? If I can hit big trades on earnings like this every single time, I'll be a millionaire in no time. That was what was going through my mindset. So I ended up telling my parents that, hey, I'm gonna go to the desert with my friends, you know, and over here, bro. And I went to Vegas, you know. I went to Vegas, bro. I went to Vegas. You already know, man. And with 43K at a very young age, you're a millionaire already, man. You know, so I stayed at the Golden Nugget. And that whole trip on the Golden Nugget, I didn't have a computer. I was banging out trades. That whole month, I made 130K. 130K.
Wow.
And I can show you that too. I can show you it too.
You always come with receipts, so that's no, you're
130K, man. 130K. I made that whole month just trading, man. And it was going good for the whole time, man. I was banking and banking and banking. And I felt invincible, man. I mean, there's a point in trading where you become like, I just can't lose, man. I'm making so much money. How am I gonna lose? You know?
And I can guess where that story goes.
Yeah.
After that invincible feeling. Where does it go?
Yeah, man. You head into the losses, man. You head into the depression, anxiety, losses. And at one point, it's not just the loss of money, but the loss of losing close friends, losing family, and not losing them like they died, but losing them in the fact that you don't have a relationship anymore because you got so hooked on something that was momentary and materialistic for such a long time, right? I remember I bought like an Audi TT, man, a convertible, and you know, you ride in the convertible top, took it all the way to Vegas. You feel like the man, especially at a young age. Everyone's looking at you, and you're seeing like who's staring at you, and you know, everyone's just like, ooh, what's going on, you know? So you feel like the king, you feel like the man. Nobody can stop you. You're invincible, you know. But there was someone that could stop me, man, and I mean, for me, that was God that was gonna put an end to this, you know. There was a point where I had spent so much money where I had gone to in Vegas, and I ended up trying to recover that money in the stock market. And I ended up losing money about 4 to 5 times. I don't remember the exact number. I just remember there was 4 to 5 times different situations where I lost everything that I had.
So you lost everything. All the 130,000 between everything, spending
bro,
and all of it.
Everything. After that, man, I ended up going down the rabbit hole, man, and losing absolutely everything that I had, whether it was like with my girlfriend or family members that I didn't have a relationship anymore because I was so hooked on the money and trying to make everything back each time, man. Each time, you know, every time I took a loss, that revenge trade, that FOMO kicks in. You're like, no, I just need this quick move and I'll make another 50 grand and I'll make another 60 grand. There was so many circumstances where I made so much money. The AMC pump, I don't know, you remember the Lucid pump.
Oh yeah, all of it.
The IRNT
It was pump. CCIV before.
Yep. You had so much, you could make so much money. It's like the stock market was just like a bank, bro. You needed money, you just buy calls, you know?
That's so true, dude. Right? It's so true.
There was a point where the stock market was like that. You could just make money off calls. You just buy calls, Bro, you had like unlimited pump, you know? It's like unlimited money glitch that you had going on in the stock market, you know? And every earnings, I was playing calls or I was playing puts, right? And there were so many circumstances after I made that 42,000 trying to recover my money. I ended up paying more earnings, man. Like the Netflix earnings that I came out, right? I ended up losing 100K on those earnings, man, because I put in $100,000 in that trade. I did with a friend that was with me. He came into my office as well, and we were trying to play earnings. He only put in about 2,000, but 2,000 was a lot of money for him at the time. Yeah. You know, he didn't have the trading experience that I did. He didn't have as much money as I did. But I lost $100,000 on Netflix. All right. My parents ended up, you know, after they saw the success and me doing all well, they came in and they gave me 25K. My grandpa, he gave me about 40K. And for a whole month, I was doing good. I made, and I gave my dad cash because I was doing good. I gave him cash. I gave my grandpa cash, paying his rent, doing everything for him. And the one rule they told me is do not play earnings with our money. Do not play earnings. You play earnings, you're done, you know? So then I called my dad one day and I was like, hey dad, you know, like Moderna, you know, it's looking really good. They're about to pump. Like, we got to take this trade, you know? He's like, all right, just put in $500 in there. Don't put anything more. And I said, oh, you want me to put those 25K in there? Oh, of course, I'll put in all the money in there. He's like, don't risk it all, Danny. Don't risk it all. I said, oh, well, I mean, it's not my money, you know? I don't care, bro. If we make it, we're going to get rich. You know what I mean? That's my mindset, you know? More money coming in. I took the trade. It did not work out, man. It failed.
Oh, no.
I took it on my grandpa's. It failed, man. And I ended up losing their money, but I still had my money, you know?
Okay.
And I still have my money to trade. But I ended up hiding it from them for a while. You know, the time that I told my parents ended up telling me, like, this is a big disgrace. Trading is a big disgrace. It's like a curse to the family. Don't ever do it again. Like, don't ever tell us about your trading journey. We don't ever want to know anything. My mom told me that. She said, I don't want to know anything about your trading journey anymore. Don't talk to me anymore. You know? And they said, don't come close. Don't do anything. We don't care anymore. We're done. We're not going to support your business.
That's crazy.
And my dad, you know, even after that, I mean, my dad gave me another 5K. I remember my dad felt super bad for me, you know, because I was going down a rabbit hole, man. I was just constant days of throwing money. My dad ended up giving me 5K, another 5K. And I turned that 5K over 50K in a week. I promise. 5K over $50,000 in a week on AMC. I don't know. Like I said, AMC pump, bro. Buy the calls, you know. Next day, AMC starts pumping, and I make on that trade, I made like 32,000, something like that, you know. And I only invested 2K in that trade, you know. But my dad did give me 5K, but I didn't say anything again, man. It's like that greed kicks in, man. Like, you see how much money you can make trading, man, and that greed doesn't go away. Like, it's stuck on you. You know what I mean? Like, that mindset was stuck on me for the longest time. It's like, you know, I can make so much money off of this. Like, I'm unstoppable. You know, like, even when I lost money, I recover it quickly. You know, it's like those feelings, they never go away. They stuck there.
And first of all, I love how vulnerable you're being and so honest. Because like a lot of people in this industry, they go through shit and they won't talk about it. You've talked about it. So you're basically at this point, whether you see it or not, like then, like you're like at rock bottom, kind of. Like you've made all this money, you've lost it all. You're in debt with your parents and grandpa now. Like, they're calling trading a disgrace, like inadvertently calling you a disgrace with it. Like, where's the turnaround? When does Danny, like, you know, when does Danny turn to risk management? When does Danny turn to smart trading? When does Danny turn to, like, I can't keep doing this shit?
Well, there was one point in my life after that phone call I had with my dad where he told me, like, with my mom, where she told me it's a disgrace. My dad, I could hear the disappointment in his voice, you know, and even after that, him helping me again with another 5K, you know, funding me again. And I've never talked about this to anybody. You're the first person to hear this. You know, I've always been so embarrassed to share this side of my story. You know, I was so embarrassed, you know, because they were finally supporting me, like, after not supporting me, to supporting me after, like, I started making money, you know. It felt like, well, you know, like, I don't need that support now, but I'll take it, you know. I can make more money, and it's that greed that made me take that money from them and allowing them to trade with me. Although I told them that it's risky, you know, that I'm going to be doing some crazy stuff, you know. And after my dad gave me that 5K, and I ended up turning it again, big time, his money, right? And I still had my money on the side of this, right? Which is what got me into futures trading, right? So I lose my dad's money again, all of it on an earnings full port again. Boom.
Still hadn't learned your lesson.
Nope. So after that, I remember a Christmas time came around, and we were at like a party. We're at a party again, and I was upset. I was like, man, like, I'm just disappointment. You know, it comes back to my childhood story, right? Like, I feel like I'm not doing well. You know, like, I'm a disappointment in life. Like, I'm not somebody that they want me to be, you know? So my uncle, he was a futures trader. He got into futures. The moment my uncle got into options, because I tried to introduce him to options, he didn't like it. He thought it was dumb, man, because of the Greeks. Like, you go into the same spot. I don't say anything about options. Options is great. I just started trading options again, you know, but you go into the same spot and you're still at break even, you know. And my uncle tells me about futures. And when I go into futures, I mean, futures, you don't have earnings, man. You don't have, you know, stuff like you can't make $200,000 in a day with $900. It's not going to happen. Like, with futures, it's not going to happen. You know, futures is like where I turned it. That's when I fell in love with futures. And it was about a year and a half ago, man. That's where I fell in love with futures. And, like, I started studying the futures up. And I started trading the futures because my uncle was like, you know, you do futures, man, you don't have any Greeks. You just buy or you sell, right? You don't have to worry about decay or time decay where you're going to get screwed over time. It's like, and I was like, there's no way. And he was like, you can trade futures at night. I was like, no way. I mean, trading futures at night is kind of like trash because there's no volume. But I felt that certain way. I was like, wow, so is this good? But I still didn't want to go into futures, man. I was so hooked on that earnings and gambling mentality. I think, like I said, a lot of us get hooked onto that mentality of earnings, man.
And not even just earnings. Like people just get hooked on like getting dopamine from trades, right? I want to click that buy. I want to click that sell. Like I want to buy that option because I want to have those huge days. Like, your example is earnings, but I think that's just a widespread problem in our trading industry is the gambling mentality, which again, I think is so awesome that you're talking about your story and, saying it like you went pretty deep in the hole with the whole gambling mentality. And then you found your way out, which is incredible.
I found my way out towards the end of options, man. When I started about a year and a half ago, where I stopped doing options slowly, because towards the end of my options, I figured my strategy was good, but I'm so addicted to. It's like I treat it like a casino a lot of times. Rather than focusing on trying to make those $500 to $1,000 a day, I was trying to focus on making that $43K in a day off an earnings play. I got hooked on that kind of mindset rather than just trying to take it slow and consistent. Where I think it's a lot of us, we get hooked on that concept where we want to go in trades and we want a full port because we want to make, past that account. We want to, make a lot of money. We want to change our family's lives and we want to change our lives. So we get so hooked on that mentality. If we full port, we're going to make this much money, where in reality, like consistent, I've always thought this, even when I was trading the gambling way, I always thought like if I were to build this account consistent from the day that I lost this type of money, I would already be a very successful trader myself, man. If I weren't to spend this much money when I made this much money and I would compound that money, I would be such a successful person right now. I wouldn't have to go through all these things that I'm going through right now. A lot of people, we go through things because that's where we put ourselves into that place, right? We go through these losses because we put ourselves, it's no one to blame but ourselves. We put ourselves in these situations where we know that we can't risk that type of money, but we do it anyway because we're thinking about the what could happen when the what could happen hasn't even happened, right? We're not thinking about the negative. We're thinking about the positive of if we make this much money, then this is going to happen, but it hasn't happened. So there's no reason to be thinking that way, right? You have to, a slow and steady wins the race, right? Compound your money.
And so you had to shift like your whole mindset, hit rock bottom. We're doing this, gambling thing. And you told me that like, obviously after you found your edge with futures, you found your edge with not even just futures, but like getting your mindset right, cutting this gambling mentality, made your parents, grandparents whole. Like, how did it feel like to finally be on the right path? And like what triggered that? I think there's so many people maybe have a different story than you, but like are in their own rut, in their own respect. Like what changed it for you? Like how specifically did you get out of that and move forward?
It feels very good nowadays, because my grandpa's back with me,
Yeah.
My dad wants to now is getting back into trading. Well, my whole family's into trading.
They're like, they get their money back. They're
yes,
like, okay, Danny.
My grandpa's gotten his money back and we're doing it now for real with futures. You know what I mean? And it feels very good because now my brother is looking like, bro, back then when I was making that much money, my brother would come over so he would learn from me. And I was such an asshole, bro. Like I'd be like, I'd make $4,000. He had $1,000 account. He'd make $100 and he'd be like, wow, bro, I want to make like you though. And I think that's where everyone's falls. I was like, hey man, at least you can buy yourself an In-N-Out burger now, like it's good.
Some fries,
money.
Maybe some animal sauce.
Animal style fries. He's like, and he, after that day where I was like such an asshole, man, they never wanted to come and trade with me anymore, man, because they saw the person that this money was creating, like this kind of, not the best person, and all that pride like that I had there, it came from my childhood, like having some resentment towards everyone in my family not believing in me. But then that humble towards the end of my options trading journey, that's where everything clicked. That's where God humbled me, right? He said, you want to act like this? Go do something else. And I was like, I'm really getting hit now, like I'm nothing again. Like I got to set back foot and then go back into my place of who I am. And futures started, and futures took off from there, man. Futures took off, and I knew that I couldn't make big money. I could now, but back then I had to understand the concepts of futures before actually diving full deep into it. So I had to start slow, man. And this time, after taking so many big losses with family members and with my girlfriend or whoever it was, I knew that I had to change that mindset. I knew I had to change that route and that path that I was thinking, because if I were to continue that path of that cocky, and gambling mindset, it would lead me down the rabbit hole, which it did. It got me to my lowest point of depression and anxiety, and I just couldn't handle myself anymore.
And as I always say, like, losses make legends if you learn from them, right? So you were down, had a lot of losses, as everything you've said before now, and you found that way out, which I think is phenomenal, might I add. But I'm curious, like, when you started trading futures, like, you're like, you know what? You made that switch. You know that this is do or die, right? Kind of how, like, I guess I was the same way. I've never been a full-time futures trader. I've always been options. But you found your way in the futures world. Like, did you start really slowly, 1 to 2 contracts at ES and work your way up? Because nowadays, like, I watch all your videos and you're consistently making like, 3, 4, 5, 6 grand a day, which, like, honestly, I love seeing you make money. I don't care about your wins. What I care about is when I see you post your losses, and your losses are small now too. Because you could have 100K a day. You've already mentioned this. You've had huge days. I've seen traders that make 50, 100K a day, sweet. But if your losses are 5x that once a week, like, you're going to lose all those gains. So what impresses me most about you now is that, yes, you have amazing, like, your videos are awesome in general. Like, you help so many people learn, you help so many, retail traders avoid the traps that, they might not know are coming when they first start. But specifically, like, you keep your losses really small and your winners big. How did you adapt that? And, like, how do you work up to that?
Have a plan. I always tell this to everyone, have a plan. When I enter a trade personally, I always have a plan. And it's not about, I'm going to shoot for 50% and I'm going to get, it's not a dollar target. You know what I mean? It's whatever the charts and whatever other tools I'm using that's going to lead me to follow that plan. Like, if my plan hits and I'm only up 30 ticks, which is not a lot, I'm going to take profit because the plan only led to that area and now I have to get out.
And that's on NQ.
And correct? That's on NQ.
You trade a lot of NQ, and do you trade ES as well, or mostly NQ?
I used to trade ES when I was taking it slow. Like, when I first started, it was all about ES because ES is the less riskier option to go with.
NQ moves quick.
And NQ will, if you're new at trading and you know NQ and you're a futures trader, NQ will kill you. It will destroy you and it will destroy your account. You take 5 contracts, which is usually what I trade, 5 contracts, right? There's been times where I've gone in 10, but it's when I go in 10 contracts, I'm jittery. I'm going like this. I'm shaking, because like I said, I told you earlier I like to keep around $25,000 in my account, right? So investing 10 NQ contracts, I'm on leverage and I'm almost using 50% of the account. So I don't like doing that because I only like risking around $1,250, $1,000 per trade because that's my risk. Everyone's risk is very different, So that equals around 35 to 40 ticks stop loss per trade. And I like to at least shoot for at least get 50 ticks in profit, which is $1,000 a day. Or if I get 100, I make 2,500 and I take multiple trades, right? And there's times where I feel very confident that when I'm already in profit, I'll add 5 more contracts. So I'll be in 10, but it's not risky. A lot of people see 10 contracts and they're like, wow, that's a lot of contracts. But when you're already in profit on a trade and you're adding 5 more, it's not. You know what I mean? People get that misconception like, oh, you're not really trading NQ because you're in 10 contracts and NQ is very volatile. But when you're in profit like that, you don't mind adding 5 more contracts, right? Because you're already going to make a lot of money. You already made money on the day, right? You're only going to make more money, especially when you're in profit and you move that stop to break even, right? And you're at a risk-free trade. I think you probably do that a lot too, right?
That's my
move that stop to break even. That feels the best.
It's my favorite thing to do, man.
You can only make a lot of money now.
That's
you know
like,
what I mean?
I think that's the biggest flaw that I see traders make. And that's a key component to my strategy. Like, if I take an options trade, same thing as futures trade, right? And let's say my premium is 1.0. If it goes up to 1.3, for example, like 20, 30%, right? I'm going to keep my stop at break even. If it comes back down, even, I typically I'll get like a trim off. I'm sure you do the same thing in futures. If you're in, 5 contracts, you might sell 2, let the other 3 run. Same thing with options. If you have 10 contracts, you could sell, 3, let the other 7 run, right? For the other 7 that I don't trim off, I'm going to cut the rest at break even and let them go. And I think that's the biggest problem is, it might go up 10, 20, 30%. Traders don't sell. It comes back down to break even. They keep holding, goes down 5, 10%, keep holding, 10, 15%, keep holding. And then they get in this huge hole of 30, 40, 50% losses, and it crushes them.
Yep, and that happens to a lot of traders actually. It's I mean, that's just how our minds work. We don't like taking losses. We don't have that in our nature. We don't want to take a loss. I think my first futures account, I never mentioned this, but to try out futures to start, I ended up doing an investment of $2,000, which I did build over 6,000 on my first day of trading futures.
2,000 to 6,000.
Yes,
wow.
But this is why, bro. Futures, you don't have no PDT rule. You don't have to
that's
have.
A key
you
too.
can take unlimited trades, bro. That's so dangerous for new traders. You know how dangerous that is? Because in options, if you have less than 25K, you can only take one trade per day, right? But
in 3 trades per 5 day period, you take one trade a day. On that 4th day, you're gonna get limited.
Exactly. Now with futures, you don't have that rule, bro. You have $500, you can take 1,000 trades. Just be careful with those commissions because they add up. But you're
gonna have no more money after commissions.
Pay like 1,000 commissions before when I first started. It's like you don't take so many trades, but it's so addicting because like you're literally hitting buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, or sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy. You can take so many trades because you don't have no PDT rule. So it's dangerous, man, and you can still make a lot of money. Whether you only need $50 for a micro contract. Only moves 50 cents per tick. But a lot of people, they grow accounts that way, and then they end up blowing it because I see traders trade futures till the morning, till the end of the day. They don't stop. They're addicted. They have that gambling mindset. They're not satisfied with one trade. They want to make that 1,000, and because futures allows you to trade unlimited times a day, they end up shooting it, and they try to trade that many times a day. I made from my first futures account 2,000 to 6,000, ended up blowing the whole thing. Because you're trying to make more. You feel like you can get to 100K in a day. You can't, bro. There's not that many. There's a lot of setups in the day, but there's not that many.
I always tell people that it's quality over quantity. When you're a new trader, right, or just a trader that struggles with discipline or dopamine, whatever, like you want to keep trading, but like as you've found over the years, as I've found over the years, like you're gonna the less trades you take of more quality, the more money you're gonna make. And that goes for anyone, full-time traders, traders that have a job and trade on the side, swing traders. Quality over quantity is something that, and stop loss are 2 key terms that I think can make every trader listening to this a lot more money.
Exactly. Quality over quantity, like you just said, right? There's a lot of traders that, they go big, right? They don't study up. They don't educate themselves before going into a trade, right? So their concept is, I'm going to go in this many contracts because Danny or whoever is going in this many contracts, right? But that's where it all comes in too, right? We all have our own paths, right? Everyone has a different kind of risk management to it, and that's also why a lot of traders end up failing because they want to join certain rooms expecting to become rich like the person that owns it, right? And they end up investing the same amount, trying to go with the same amount of contracts when they don't have as much money as that person that's investing, and they end up blowing their accounts and they blame the whole world but themselves, so then they have that victim mentality of like, this person sucks, I'm never going to trade again, when they should be blaming themselves, man, and educating, grabbing that knowledge and building more and more and more and so on.
Did you ever have a time where like, you really looked in the mirror and you were like, Danny, like get your shit together?
Yes.
Like
so many times.
Do you remember like any of those moments that you really had to take accountability? You want to blame the market. You want to say it's rigged. It's not fair. It's this guru's fault. It's, the moon and retrograde's fault. Like when did you really, find that it was like, it's this person in the mirror?
Well, towards the end of my options trading, and the path that I was taking, I knew that path that I was taking wasn't the right path because I would make money and blow it. And not necessarily blowing the stock market, dude. There's so many things that you can blow money on, and I would blow it all the time, and I knew that this lifestyle that I was getting to and trying to come into the markets, making a lot of money, going out, spending it, then coming back. And then because I have so much FOMO, because I've already lost so much money outdoors, right? I come back, I try to make that money back, and I ended up blowing it, right? And, there was a point in my life where I was on the futon. I told you about this, right? And I was very depressed, bro. I slept on that futon for, it was like it didn't even fit me, bro. My legs were hanging out, the
That's
whole
crazy.
futon, man. I couldn't get up out of bed, man. I was stuck. I was stuck in like, bro, what the heck are you doing, bro? Like, you've done this 50 times, like, dude, there's got to be a point where you got to realize that this is like wrong. You either have to quit trading or do something else, man, different, because you're only setting yourself up for failure. That's the point I realized, where I started taking these big losses, because I wanted to gamble them, and one gamble didn't work, so I take another gamble, is when I realized, like, this is heading into the wrong direction. Like, this is not where I want to be, and it's that point where I was on that futon, man, with my little blanket on, my feet hanging out of the futon, all snuggled up, just crying, bro, because I've taken big losses, and it tenses me up right now, because I don't like remembering it either. I don't think anyone likes remembering bad times we go through, but, losses hit the ego big. You don't feel you. You don't feel like you're good, and that's when I realized I had to turn it around. So I knew about futures for a long time before options, right? I never wanted to get in it because there was no earnings on it, or there was nothing like that. It was just purely, I would have to have a plan. I would have to force myself to be consistent and be satisfied, even if I only make $200. Even if I only make $300, I have to force myself to be happy with that amount. And that concept in my head, I never wanted to get dragged into that kind of trading where I have to be satisfied with how much I make that day and then leave it there, until I remember that's the point, where I was losing. I said, I'm just going to give it a shot. This is no way I'm going to keep going like this. It's done. It's a done deal.
And you clearly have had skills for a long time. It was just a discipline issue. It was a risk management issue
Discipline
before.
issue, correct. It was nothing. Bro, anyone can chart. Anyone can do that, man. It's our losses come here, man. Our losses come with our risk management. Our losses come with our sizing. Our losses come with focusing on the money and the percentages that we're potentially going to make, or the type of money that we could potentially make with this trade. That's where our losses come from, right? They don't come from with our lack of charting skills, right? Or a lack of figuring out where supply and demand is, or find these levels in the order book, man. Our losses come from what goes on in here, man, in our mentality,
And so with that mentality switch, fast forwarding now, in the last, year, you've been incredible. You've been crushing it. I've seen it firsthand for a lot of time consistently. Like, what do you tell yourself every day now? Like, you're on a roll. You're trading nice. You're having bigger wins, smaller losses, staying consistent. You're helping the people around you make money. Like, what's your mindset every day now? Like, how do you keep yourself from going back to those old habits?
Well, when I wake up, I tend to pray, just pray that, God gives me guidance and everything that I need, and pray that he gives me that strength to have that discipline that I need, right? That mentality that I need. The next thing I told myself is, like, the only way that I'm going to make money is if I follow a plan, right? So every morning when I do my pre-market, I already know what I'm looking for, and I know what my stop loss is going to be, 30 to 35 ticks, right? And I cannot take any more than $2,000 in losses. Anything above $2,000 in losses, I already cut it for me, right? If I can't discipline myself like today, bro, I messed up today. I lost almost 4,000, and that hurt.
You broke your rules today.
I broke my rules today. It's normal. A lot of people probably see this, man, horrible trader.
He just said $2,000 loss, and then he lost 4,000. Like, the reality is, like, you'll admit when you mess up. Most people don't, or most of these gurus just never lose. Yeah, they're 100% win rates.
People don't want us to be human. At the end of the day, they want us to be like these perfect wizards, that are just gonna hit trades left to right, and we're not. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we're human too. Like, we mess up mentally and we get emotional too. Like, today, I was upset at myself.
And I'm pretty sure, like, you had that 4,000 loss today, but the last few days you've crushed it.
Oh yeah, I had a swing trade. I think Monday, Tuesday. I could pull it up on my phone. That made me $12,000. I swung it all the way to the morning. Calls, right? Longs. That made me 12,000. So this 4,000, it hurts. It hurts my ego, right? But I'm up over on the week. But it does hurt because I know that I know that my trades today were just horrible, man. Horrible. Like, I look at my trades today. I watched them and I was like, wow, this is bad.
And it's cool. Like, yes, you like to keep your losses below 2,000. Yeah, you had a $4,000 loss today, but still, like, it's so much smaller than your, old Danny's losses. And all the wins I see you have, bro, like obviously you have some, 2, 3K wins. Like you've had so many 7, 10, 12K win on Tuesday. Like, that's the reality is like, if you make 12,000 on a Tuesday and you lose 4,000 on a Thursday, you're still up $8,000 for the week. There's going to be losses in trading. It's just a matter of, what you've done. You get up, you implement and respect stop loss a lot, discipline a lot, put your faith in yourself, and just get after it.
Yep, and it all comes down, that's where we lead to. It comes down to the risk management and respecting the plan, right? If you don't have a plan for your future or for trading, whatever, right, you're never going to succeed, man. You need a plan, you know what I mean? You need a plan, like to have secure and a stable plan, like a set of rules where you're going to tell yourself, I need to cut myself and I need to study back up if we hit this amount of losses. If I need to study up.
So you're at a good place now, right? You got your plan. You've improved in your discipline tenfold. Like you've been crushing it. What are your future plans for trading? Do you have any? Obviously, we talked about earlier, you've used a lot of your last year's trading profits to start a Turo business. You got a few awesome cars, been crushing it. Like, what are your future plans for trading, futures, options, equity, businesses? Like what are Danny's future plans?
One of the things that I really want to do, like I said, I started the Turo, right? I have my guy, Oscar. He's helping me right now. He's the one that got me onto Turo, right? He got me back then in I think it was around December, October of last year. I met him because I ended up taking out a couple cars, so he got me onto the Turo game, right? And he was showing me how much profit he was making off cars, right? So a lot of people think that you need thousands of dollars to get these kind of cars, man. And the reality of it is that the cars, when you rent them out, especially the higher end cars, man, they're getting paid for, and they're gonna get paid for, and on top of that, you're gonna make profit because you got to think about how many people are in this world. There's a lot of people in this world. There's gonna be people every day needing a car, right? Or wanting to show off, right?
A lot of people want to show off.
I want to get a car. I want to rent a car so I can show it off. I'm past that kind of stuff. Like I was like that before. Like I was like, shoot, I want to be in that Rolls Royce because it feels good, man. I want everyone to look at me. Who doesn't? But right now it's all about making income. So that's one thing. My next step is buying a house, right? So before I do anything and get into networking with other people that do crazy stuff like real estate, I know you're into real estate, right? I want to make sure I have a house locked in too. I want to build that, and I want to just paid off house and have everything that I need.
And on that path of what you're doing trading, you're on the right path, bro.
Yeah, man. A lot of people don't understand how important credit is, man. I messed up my credit when I was beginning to trade, man. Took out so many loans, and was using so much credit to try to trade. I tried, bro, to do everything I could. Like I messed up my credit, bro. I let go of my car payment when I had it. And now we look at that and I'm like, why did I do that? But again, we're young, we grow, and we learn from it. Like one thing I would definitely tell anybody in the United States that's young is don't mess up your credit, bro, because credit is your real net worth right there. Unless you're making millions and millions of dollars.
And sure. I can't stress enough. Like I think it's really cool to see a vulnerable side of this, of like how you're like, you messed up here, there, and like you made it all back, got everyone right. And, it's all thanks to you being willing to learn, being willing to, sack up and do the right thing trading. I think that's sick.
Bro, you got to keep pushing, man. Like if I didn't push, like everyone would still be like maybe upset at me still, like
they'd probably be a little upset if you hadn't paid them back 25 grand.
I had to push, man, and after I got everything done, that's when I found like this is going to be good. Like I'm consistent. That's when I ended up, wanting to teach others. It's like because I knew like, okay, I got the hang of myself. Like I could do this.
And it's crazy. Like, your content has just blown up so much, like 450,000 subscribers just about between all the platforms. Like, how does that feel to help people, like, and inspire people with your story of like, hey, like I used to mess up. I've been there. This is the right way to do it. And like, this is how I've found my success.
It's very motivating, because I see a lot of people in my shoes, and that's probably how you feel sometimes too, right?
For sure.
I see a lot of people in my shoes, man, and I see like they're so close to just making it. You know, I've seen so many people so close, man, like this close to making it, and they end up, this is not for me. I'm done. You know, and they end up quitting. I'm like, damn, man. Only if he would have held on a little longer, man, he would have been set for sure. And I know it because I saw it in them, you know, and they quit. And I also see those other traders that, you know, they're in that cycle, bro, like the snowball effect. They don't stop. They expect making the same mistake with a different outcome. It never happens, right? You gotta change it up a little bit.
You can't make the same mistake and expect a different outcome. Can't.
You know, and I see a lot of traders do that, bro. They're so caught up in like the same thing, bro, over and over and over again, bro. Like they keep funding their accounts over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome with the same things and same mistakes that they made before, you know. And but it feels very good. It feels very good helping people, man. It feels I love impacting people in their training journey, and I love seeing people make money, becoming successful in the training industry, because I know that probably, man, I don't know the statistics. I've heard like 99%. I don't know, bro. But I've heard that a lot of people quit, and I've seen a lot of people quit, and they quit like that, bro. They don't even last a week, you know. And those are people, usually the people that end up saying like, this is BS. You know what I mean?
Always. 90% of the time.
End up talking trash and hating on every single video you got to post. They're like, they're the scumbags, you know, like that, you know, they're just full of shit. They're not going to make it, you know?
And that's a common side effect. It's unfortunate. Like I genuinely feel bad for those people. Like you come in, like in reality, like, so I did this webinar with author named Anna Cooling, author of Volume Price Analysis. If you've heard of that book.
Yeah.
We were talking and she was like, you know, the trading world is cruel. And I was like, I agree. Like there's all these fakers, all these scammers, you know, paper traders, all this stuff. And she was like, well, they exist, but trading is cruel because people come in and in reality, they have to figure out if a stock's going up or down. If you can figure out if a stock is going up or down, you can make a lot of money. And when someone can't do that, it hurts them to their core. They lose a lot of money in the process. They feel dumb. They feel stupid. And then because of that, they want to bring others down, right? Well, if I can't find out if something's going up or down, you know, screw you, Danny, for as you can. Screw you, Jdun, for, you know, you doing it. In reality, like people like us, like we just want to help, right? Like, you know, I've seen, you know, you've seen thousands of people succeed, but we've also seen thousands of people that, you know, don't succeed right away. And the ones that keep with it and want to learn and get motivated, they're the ones who, you know, jump the curve. People who hate, the people who are negative, the trolls, like that ain't making you a profitable trader, fam. that ain't it.
Yeah. I've seen that happen a lot of times, man. Is they turn on you the second they take a loss. They expect to come in and make all these profits, make all these big gains, you know, and they don't understand that at the end of the day, we're all human, bro. We all deal with emotions. We all have a brain, you know, that we're not perfect, you know. We're not gonna win every day, you know. And people, when they come to an understanding that they're not gonna win every day, those are usually the people that are like, okay, I'm gonna keep pushing, man. I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep trying this out, man. I know there's gotta be a turning point, you know. But then there's those people that are very stubborn, man. They become like cold, you know, like someone like, for example, like boxers that, you know, they get beat up and they become very cold. You know, they start talking trash on absolutely everyone, man. They hate everyone. That's just like traders, bro. They get beat in the market and they want to put everyone down, just like you said it. You know, that's just perfect. I never heard anyone say it the way you did, man, but that's perfect.
And the reality is, for anyone listening to this, like you have two sides to choose from. You can be on the side, because there's going to be losses when you first start. There just is. You can be on the side of, you know what? I want to learn. This is part of the learning process. This is tuition. This is helping me, you know, get to that next level of winning. Or you can hate, you know, you can bitch and whine. You can blame everything but yourself, and you can never win. So choose which one you want. I'd recommend this hand personally, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of people like that. I mean, how do you feel like impacting others, man? Because I've seen you also, man. You know, one of the bigger traders here, man. You're making thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, man. I've always wondered how you feel too, man.
I mean, honestly, bro, like my thing is this, like even before trading, I've just always liked motivating people. Like I like helping. That's why, like, for example, you're on the podcast. We both have trading rooms, right? I don't see us as competition. I have other traders with trading rooms on here. I don't see us as competition. Like I make real money trading. I don't say that in like a cocky way. I'm just saying like You know, I'm up like $615,000 this year with proof. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying like I make money trading. I want to help others. So if you guys hearing Danny helps you, you guys learning from Danny helps you, awesome. Like that's good for me. That's good for us as a community, right? If you guys learning from Sean, you guys learning from Rake, like if you guys learning from anyone helps you, you know, that's my purpose. Like that's what I want to be remembered for. So like for me, it's bigger than money. You know, like there's a lot of there's a lot of good people and there's a lot of bad people in the industry. And I want to have the good ones here. And, you know, like if we can collectively come together to help others, like that's what like really fulfills me. Like, you know, the Lamborghini is cool. The Maybach is cool. Like, you know, the Rolexes are cool. All that stuff is cool. But like once you do that, and once you have, you know, those experiences, you know, you spend thousands of dollars in this and that, you know, you own private jets, like what really sticks to you and what makes you happy is helping others win and making a positive influence. And like, that's, I guess, my purpose and how I feel.
Yeah, man, that's great, man. That's good to hear, man. Yeah, I've seen this training community almost become competition with a lot of traders, you know. And I really appreciate you for bringing me on here, man, and giving me this opportunity, man. Not a lot of people have that kind of heart. So, man, Jdun has a big heart, man. So you guys got to be paying attention to him for sure, man.
Hey,
I appreciate it, man.
Right back at you, bro. So one more thing before we wrap up here. I want to know, I always like to ask our guests this. If you had one piece of advice to give your starting out self, I know this is a broad question, one piece of advice or like a few pieces of advice for Danny for starting out that would have saved you a lot of money, dramatically increased your learning curve, and overall helped you, what would it be for everyone listening to this?
I got you. Hit me with it, bro. Shoot, man. There's a lot I would tell myself. There's a lot of things I would tell myself, man. But this is going to sound very contradictory, right? But you don't have to quit your job to become a full-time trader.
Yes.
Okay? I messed up really bad, and that's why my credit got screwed. Because I quit my job to pursue trading, bro. You only have to prove stuff to nobody, bro. Just yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like, it's all about you. You know what I mean? It's all about me. It's about my journey. It's not about what anybody thinks about me. You know, if I'm happy with it, then I should continue that along that route, right? But just because you want to show people that you don't have to work to make money, I didn't have to. When I didn't know anything about trading, I didn't have to quit my job. I could learn trading and still work a 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. I think a lot of people get that misconception. What's wrong is being complacent, you know, with a 9 to 5. If you're complacent with a 9 to 5, you're messing up. You know, that you shouldn't be looking at 9 to 5 like a long-term job. You know, you should be looking at something that's going to help you pick up along the future. You're going to pick up those pieces and you're going to learn how to trade. You're going to learn a craft and then you're going to become successful. So if there was something I had to tell myself is keep grinding, man, and don't quit until you're sure that you've made it, you know, because if that was the case, man, my life would be 1,000 times better even till today, man, because it affects your futures. All your decisions affect what happens in your future, no matter what, bro. Like my decisions that I made 3 years ago, 5 years ago still affect me today. So think about everything that you do, man, because you never know what you're going to run into in the future and that something you did in the past might affect what you got going on today. That's what I would definitely tell myself.
I love that advice, and it's something that you don't hear much. Like you see these Instagram gurus and their ads, like if you don't quit your job within 30 days of buying my course, I will pay you X amount. It's like, bro, shut up. It's like, bro, shut up. Like you're an idiot. So there's no better way that you could have ended that off, and honestly, the best advice. And when you're not, I like to say this too, when you're not focusing on the money, right? When you're not trading just for the money, you're going to focus on the process more, and you're going to make more inadvertently, right? It's just the money's going to come faster when you're not, okay, I need to make money. Like, you know, if I don't make money, I'm not going to pay my rent. I'm not going to eat. My dog's not going to get a new toy. Like that's where that job helps out, you know, gives you that backing, gives you that like cushion to learn.
Exactly. Because you're not afraid. You got somewhat secure, you know what I mean? You can still pay your bills.
Yes.
You know, you're not depending on trading because you're just learning. Like a person that's just learning how to trade, he's not going to be paying his bills like, you know, the first year, man. It's going to take some time, you know?
Yeah.
You got to pile up some money, save some money, man. Everything that makes you money costs money. Just put it that way. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like my brother's starting to become a doctor right now. He has to spend 7 years in college. Bro, you don't even have to spend that much time in trading. It could happen in 2 years and it could happen in 10 years. You never know. You know, it's all up to you and how much screen time and experience you gain during the process of your journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's really motivating and really good for people to hear. Nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So with that, that's going to wrap us up. Make sure if you haven't already, you guys hit that subscribe button, tap in below. My boy Danny's YouTube is below as well. Has like 119,000, 116,000 something subscribers. Crazy good content. 10 out of 10 worth subscribing to. Tons of value. Dude wants to see you win, and overall has an incredible story that we've been so blessed to hear today. So thank you for coming.
I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you, Jdun, for having me on. I appreciate it a lot, man. And I just wish you a bunch of blessings, man.
Hey,
appreciate you, man.
Blessings right back at you. So let's keep learning and let's keep getting rich together.
Let's do it, man.
See you guys.